Okay, we'll call the meeting back to order then. Derek, perhaps maybe you want to do that before we move on.
Yeah, are we back on?
Yes, we are. Yeah.
Yeah, I think council, I think it's appropriate to mention, I mentioned to the ward, to recognize that we lost Bill Noss yesterday. Bill, who was chairman of the village commission and a longtime resident of the village and the area, died. It's going to be a huge loss for this community. It's a big loss, huge loss for his family. And I think all of us would want to reach out to Barbie and to tell them how saddened we are by the loss, that we are thinking about them, and recognize what a genuine, wonderful individual Bill Noss was, and what a great loss it will be to all of us. He was a friend of many of us, and we're going to miss him.
Yeah. No, we all echo your sentiments, Mr. Wells. Thank you. Okay, so we're on to 9.3, request for decision, corporate strategic management, environmental site assessment, Kaiser Meadow. Aaron, how are you this morning?
Good.
Still at home, I assume? Yes.
So pardon if I get interrupted by two of my kids are home, so I'm trying to keep them at bay with snacks. Fingers crossed.
You know, all you can do is try.
So staff have received the final report for the phase 1 environmental site assessment for Kaiser Meadow Industrial Park. The consultant is recommending further investigation in the form of a phase 2 environmental site assessment. There's no evidence of actual contamination. The only reason the consultant is recommending this is because our proposed industrial park is located next to an operating landfill. So they want to ensure there's no groundwater contamination on the land that we do want to develop. In order to do that, we would need to drill wells to test that groundwater. Phase 1, so the phase 1 environmental site assessment report is a lengthy, detailed report, and it's attached to this request for decision. So I wasn't planning on going through it in any detail, but I'm happy to try and answer any questions that council might have about that report. The proposed phase 2 project would consist of drilling 3 sets of paired monitoring wells, so shallow and deep wells, and they would be drilled within the phase 1 of the conceptual plan, because phase 2 and 3 are located in inaccessible forested areas. So it'd be hard to get a drill rig into phase 2 and 3, but testing phase 1 would be a great indication of the water conditions for future phases, because they are located further away from the landfill. The estimated cost to complete the assessment is $26,500 plus tax. The completion of this phase 2 environmental site assessment, bearing it's a clean one, would provide assurance that the land we're selling is free of contaminants. That would reduce our liability in case there's ever a future claim of contaminated land, because we're targeting industrial operators for that park. It also could potentially increase the marketability of the site, because it would ease any concerns that investors might have when it comes to building next to that landfill. So we're here today to ask council whether or not you would like staff to proceed with this phase 2 environmental site assessment for the Kaiser Meadow Industrial Park at a cost not to exceed $26,500 plus tax. And I should note that we would also, under procurement, would be getting 2 other quotes following the procurement rules that we have.
Yeah. Well, I understand it, but I get a question too, Andre, you may, but I just wonder why Sustain has a well there, and I assume that the other person has a well there. Would it not be possible to use their wells to some degree for test sites?
We could request a sample of Sustain's and Rainbow Net and Rigging sites of their well water, for sure. That could be
well, I just wondered whether then you might reduce down to only one well that needs to be drilled. It's just, they have wells there, that's all.
Yes.
Andre?
Yeah, I read through this report, and I had a few thoughts. One, I remember then when this request first came to council, the purpose of it was to obtain, we had to obtain a phase 1 review as part of some application to for marketing purpose to be part of some initiative. So, and reading the report, as you said, the phase 1 showed no contamination, but it was recommended to go further. First, I guess, question: are we required? I have a follow-on to this, but are we required to do any more as part of that application to be promoted as commercial ready or whatever? I can't remember the exact terminology or the exact thing that we were originally setting out to do here, but are we actually, do we actually meet our requirements for our original, the original effort to the reason why we undertook this work? Sorry, having trouble catching my words today.
That was the project you're referencing was the Atlantic Canada Site Certification Program, and that was for being investment ready. Yes, they've indicated they would like to participate. For us to participate, we would need like a clean phase 1. And because the consultant is requiring further investigation, they would be requiring that too. I can double check. But that's my understanding. To participate in the program is that we would need the clean phase 2 done.
Yeah, I guess that leads me to the second one, because it's I don't know. I mean, look, I don't do this kind of work myself, but you know, it seems kind of obvious going into this project that we were next to a landfill. It just seems almost laughable that you know, we would have a clean bill of health, and then it's like, well, but you're next to a landfill, so you have to do this other thing. But I gotta admit, it just seems, I don't know. I'm not I don't know. It just seems like just a strange thing to go through this whole exercise and then to skip over it and say, well, you know, everything's great for the phase 1, but now you have to do a phase 2 just because you're next to a landfill. We should have just started with that, maybe.
Yeah, well, I wonder. Yeah, and I don't know why they just didn't test the wells that were already there. But anyway, but yeah. Anyone else? Any questions, comments? I mean, I think it needs to be done, but I don't know why they can't at least use some data from the 2 existing wells.
Well, I think Alan, you make a good point, Alan. I think, you know, before we go ahead and approve those, we should explore what maybe we don't even have to drill another well. I mean, based on where they want to drill them, obviously.
Yeah, well, you might need one more, but I just don't quite get why they can't use the data from those 2, unless the owners of the 2 won't let us do it. But I mean, I drink the water at Sustained Technologies now, so whatever. Anyway,
yeah, I'll just make a comment. I don't know too much about it, but I know down at the mill, when they do those environmental things, they do test wells all over, and they're designed for particular spots to test and before approval. And I don't know much about it. It's a lot of this is Greek to me, but I do understand they need to test. And I don't think they're, how would I put it? They're looking for contaminants in different areas and underground water flows and all that. And anyway.
yeah. Well, I mean, if they come back and say that the 2 wells that are already there don't meet the requirement, well, whatever. I just think it's worth asking. Sharon?
Yeah, I think we can ask them that, but I mean, we need to do our due diligence to make sure that we have that comfort that it is okay.
Yeah.
So if we have to do it, but we can ask, we might be able to lower the cost if we can use the 2 wells that are there.
Yeah. Tina, and then Andre again.
Thank you. I appreciate all the conversation around maybe lessening the cost and checking out with the wells that are there and so on. But going back to when I first read this request for decision, identifying the results, if you will, of the phase 1, looking to phase 2, and the fact that we've had this discussion a few times, once for sure, and we're striving toward the Atlantic Canada Site Certification Program, if you will. I have no problem with it at 26 plus HST. I was trying to remember last week when we made our decision around the new truck purchase, and I agree with that one. I was just trying to remember what that difference in the price was. So it's not a money. I know that's terrible to say out loud, but it's not the 26 plus HST that concerns me, because if it's laid out That's what it's gonna cost. I think we need this. I think we need to continue our work towards that certification program, and we need to continue to position ourselves based on, again, as Aaron had laid it out very well, and I don't need to repeat it, it's all there. So I'm all over this.
Oh, I don't mind doing it. I just want to save money if I can. Andre?
Yeah, and I want to say firstly that both the consultant's report and Aaron's report are very well done. The only thing that bothers me about this whole thing is that when we sort of started down the road of this Atlantic Canada site certification thing, that we thought that we were going to invest like $8,000 and then we were going to become certified so that we could participate in the program. But now it's going to be more like 30,000. I just wish we would have had that fulsome, foresight to understand that, yes, this site is next to a landfill and we're going to have to do water quality stuff and stuff like that at the beginning, instead of like investing and now we're in it, and it just makes the decision, it's a different decision we're making now. And that bothers me from a process standpoint, but here we are. And I agree with Tina, we're going to have to do it. So
Yeah.
It just bothers me, I think, for me.
Okay, so let's approve the expenditure but if Aaron can sort it out with them to reduce the cost by using water samples from the other wells, all the better. Somebody want to make that a motion?
So moved.
Seconded by Tina. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. There we go. Okay. Now, where am I? Oh, Jennifer. I think I'm on Jennifer. African Heritage Month. There you are.
That's me. Here I am. Okay, I sent, hopefully, a copy of the RFD and the request for a decision and the proclamation. First, thank you, Councillors Asif and Connors, for that wonderful report at the start of the meeting. It was a productive first meeting of the EDI Advisory Committee, lots of energy and great ideas. One of the actions that came out of that meeting was a recommendation for council to proclaim February as African Heritage Month. We had the same proclamation last year that you guys approved. We also had a request from the committee to fly our Pan-African flag for 2 weeks. We have a Pan-African flag, and we flew it last year at the request of the South Shore Regional Center for Education. And I actually just checked my email, and Tracy Mulder from SSRCE sent the request about 15 minutes ago. So we also have their request. It's pretty straightforward. I can go through the RFD if you like, or answer questions.
No, it's normal practice for us to do so. I wouldn't know why we wouldn't, but somebody prepared to move the recommendation that we fly the flag and proclaim the month?
So moved.
Seconder?
Second.
No. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? The motion's carried. Thank you very much, Jen.
Thanks.
Okay, now I believe that that's the end of the public session, unless I've missed something. So we would need a motion to go in camera, and we have 2 items on the agenda.
What about that demolish thing?
That's off of the agenda.
Off, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Motion to go in camera?
Second? Somebody want to second it? Okay.
Second.
Second.
Discussion?